What's up, Descendants? Now we have a preview of HotFix 1.0.7 that I wanted to jump into. There's going to be some things you'll probably like and maybe some things that you dislike. But again, these are changes and I want to make sure that you guys are up to date on these things. And we'll take a look at some of the comments on this as well. So it goes to say, greetings, Descendant. This is the director of the First Descendant, Min-Suk Jo. Today I'm here to share a preview about HotFix 1.0.7. We are aiming to release HotFix 1.0.7 on Tuesday, August 13th, which is a few days from now. And then it says, as we need additional time to verify some issues, in the meantime, we would like to share some key updates in this hotfix. So First, we're adjusting the options in the infiltration option on hard mode, the grappling hook disabled, and the jump disabled. These options will be removed from the selection list. And additionally, the select all option will no longer be deselected when changes are made after selecting all options. Moreover, we're planning further improvements for the infiltration operation on hard mode in season 1. These include removing occupation tasks and focusing more on eliminations. We're also replacing the random combination of options with preset selections and expanding matchmaking parameters. Now, first things first, the grapple hook disabled, jump disabled. Yeah, like, why do we have that? I don't know. That was just always like no one's ever going to pick that parameter unless they just hate themselves. I mean, hey, I guess, but I feel like it just was one of those things, like, you have to run, you have to grapple. I think the charging times was like something that made sense, but grapple hook just being completely disabled kind of wouldn't make sense because there literally are areas in most maps, and I would even argue at that point what you would be expecting is for people to just remember offhand what each map does, and there's so many different stages that you can farm possibly with these. That's just way too much. So I'm glad that they took that off. And of course, the jump disabled, I mean, dog. So of course with that, as far as them removing the occupation task and focusing more on eliminations, it's going to, I think, expedite and make the process a little bit quicker. At least I'm hoping. And then of course with that, also making it to where we have preset selections and expanding matchmaking parameters. I'm hoping that with that, that's going to allow you to be able to, in pubs, also being able to build up more of the multiplier so you can get more guaranteed stuff, versus just kind of working off of that chance of. So we'll see, right? We got to see what exactly they do in game when it drops. Now it says, now let's talk about content adjustments. We're going to add some extra time for you to choose restart option after completing intercept battles, special operation, and infiltration operations. For your preference, restart with squad and restart alone buttons will be provided. I think this is actually a pretty good thing, simply because the nuance of, like, sometimes trying to restart, you might not necessarily want to restart with that squad you just ran. You want to just run it alone. So I think that that's also kind of like to player preference, just giving you more variety and options. We're not going to say no to that. And then it goes to say, additionally, we're making characters invincible when standing on hazardous areas after intercepts are done, making use of the reconstructed device more conveniently. That was something that I was kind of like, why is it like this? Is basically essentially for those of you guys that have or have not done void intercept, which I would hope you have at this point, after the fight ends, if it's like a lava field or, you know, the lava field that you've been running on for the entire fight, it can still kill you even after the boss dies, where that should, like, either completely dry up or whatever. Like, it just should be something that, like, for that environment interaction shouldn't affect you anymore, right? Now I'm hoping that they patch this in correctly, because this kind of like seems like that could be something if they don't. But again, I think it is something that is going to be really nice just for that convenience, like they mentioned. Now, the difficulty of the Frostwalker mechanism will be adjusted so you can enjoy this Void Intercept battle through public matchmaking more easy. Now, I will say that this is something that I thought was, and maybe it was kind of crazy, is this just means that players kind of inherently got better, because like the last like half a week, I would say so far, probably like 3 to 4 days, right? Me and the squad that I normally run with, we've been just like kind of jumping in, doing pubs, and people seem to have actually gotten a better grasp on the boss. I've even gone in solo queuing, and people just seem to have gotten much better on Frostwalker. So if they're going to be lowering the difficulty, that's going to be great. I do think they still need to actually address gluttony, though. I will say, as much as I like hard gimmicks and mechanics, gluttony is definitely overtuned, 1000%. He's definitely overtuned. And I feel like for even the difficulty spike of Gluttony, that's more for something that's like a raid. I wasn't really expecting that so much necessarily in Void Intercept. I don't mind Void Intercept being hard, but I think it is a little weird that, like, you can have 60,000 defense, or you can you can have the proper resistances on with mod and external component, and you still get one shot. Like, it's like little stuff like that where I'm like, okay, I'm cool with hard content, but getting one tap every 2 seconds is like kind of insane. So hopefully they figure something out, because even really good players, unless they are using very specific teams, very specific, like setups, that is just kind of putting a damper on that new game mode. And again, I'm going to bring it up every single video. We just had people that just took advantage of an exploit, and they literally are walking around with maxed out stuff from that boss fight. So yeah, you guys got to address and do something with that, because that to me is just kind of like, it's just a bad precedent to set. Now, of course, with that, in the special operations moving forward, AFK players will be moved automatically to the abort section during the interim review. Also, monster HP will be reduced and more ammo will drop easily in Void Fusion Reactor. They know you're farming. Why make this more of a task? Make it easier, so that's fine with me. Monster spawn intervals are shortened in Void Fragments, so poison attribute located at the Echo Swamp, Derelict Covert. Now, it says they're also addressing an issue where weapon proficiency is not gained for equipped weapons when using unique weapons, such as during Luna stage presence. So I guess that was something I didn't even realize was going on. And that's sometimes like what you'll notice with this game. There'll be things that you might not necessarily know. I know that the number guys and the guys that are like always testing things probably figured this out. But yeah, you got to address that, because there's zero reason for you to be playing with your character and you're not building proficiency towards the weapons and things of that nature in your hand, especially at that point. Now, lastly, it says we have usability improvements, and we will enhance your farming experience with several improvements. So in HotFix 1.0.7, we're adding a feature that allows you to quickly identify key information about your equipment by looking at the icons in inventory. You'll be able to see how many ultimate options an item has without opening its tooltip, and identify the attributes and archetypes of reactors through icons. Additionally, we're speeding up the tooltip display to help you sort valuable items more efficiently. Now, I feel like also too, another thing that they have to really figure out, like with the presets itself, is just making it make more sense. I feel like the current preset loadout, like, it's like we have these items, but it's so easy to, like, I don't know, like, it's like you can pull things if the preset's set, but I also don't feel like people should have to buy as many presets past the point of what we got, because like looking at all the units that seem to be somewhat required as you start developing and investing in your account, we don't have enough preset slots. And I get it, like, yeah, sure, you can buy more preset slots, but that means that you're kind of forcing people to buy those preset slots at that point. And I think that for a game that is requiring us to farm all this gear, build units in, it seems like, multiple different ways, I think that there should be some more leniency, at least on the starter slots that we have. And then after a certain amount, then it's like, okay, cool, like, have that open up for more purchases if you want to still monetize that. But I feel like as is, it's not really the best thing. But that's just my opinion. Let me know how you guys feel about some of the stuff we've gone over so far. But then they go to say one last thing. From previous patch note where we discussed plans to support build diversity, we noticed discussions in the community about whether socket types need to be assigned 11 times for each loadout page. Rest assured, we aim to support build diversity in a more user-friendly manner. If you prefer to use the same socket type across loadout pages 1, 2, and 3, your current setup will remain unchanged. Socket type assignments will only be required if you want a different socket type for each loadout. So my thing with this too, and I want to read a comment that the homie Cyan, if you guys haven't checked out Cyan Storm, definitely make sure you do. He's made a really dope Luna guide, a really good Kyle guide. Again, they changed Kyle a little bit, so some parts of it, again, he's going to probably end up updating that. So just make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Now, he goes to say here, the problem here at First Descendant is that if you already completely socket your first tab, you should be able to change it to whatever you want on tab 2 and 3, not have to socket slots again in 2 and 3 just to change them to something else. That is not supporting build variety. It is hindering it massively. So what they are basically saying here is that when you go to your second slot and your third slot, they're their own individual pages, but you would have to go through the process of resocketing, going back and farming and resocketing them yourself. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos that what I would think would make sense is like allowing players to, use gold. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of you guys that will say, oh, grind. That means you're not playing enough. Do you guys understand the day and age we live in? Like, not everyone, and when I say everyone, we're talking about high numbers in percentages in the community that have the time to constantly tinker and min-max and change and shift and do all that extra that some of us are able to do. I have 400 hours put into this game, right? I know some people right now, and a lot of people that actually are watching my channel have barely hit 100 yet. So I'm sitting here like, okay, I have to be mindful of the fact that when I'm giving my feedback, who is the average player that's typically playing the game? And the changes and adjustments that's being made to the game can't just be for the guys that have the time, the dudes that just have the 400 to 600 plus hours in the game. It can't just make changes just for those guys, because that's going to completely kill off casuals. And I feel like, again, there's a lot of casuals in today's day and age that want to be able to partake and play these types of games. And it's not saying you have to make everything easy, but you have to make some things convenient. And I think that that's some of the things that we're seeing here, is that this is kind of like an inconvenience, having to go back now and say, like, you do want to and need to, I would even argue, for some of these units, make a completely separate build. You now have to go back and resocket those slots, refarming all of that. That's X amount of hours, that you might have to do that. And I'm perfectly fine with grinding, but I will say, considering that this is something that it's like, okay, it's definitely obvious they're trying to maintain the monetization structure. I would say for these things, when you're making these types of shifts, offer some sort of support, like make it simpler. That's why I offered the gold idea, because I'm like, hey, I don't care how much gold I would have to pay versus me having to grind the premium quote unquote resource that people literally could buy, right? So I think that definitely is something that they have to kind of consider, is that you should be able to change that. I feel like if I already put the investment into the character, I should be able to shift that. Instead of now I have to do that individually for each and every single build that I want to tweak or adjust. And some of these builds like completely like change slots. And then what that does is it also locks you into a whole separate build. So then it's like, I don't know, it just becomes this like super convoluted process. So I'm hoping that they do clarify and make that process a lot better. But again, this is a huge point from all of this. I think that, again, this is a start. I'm not going to say it's not anything. It's definitely a start, but I don't think it's going to be the end result. So hopefully we see what they do from here. But that's going to be everything for Dev Note 11 for HotFix 1.0.7. Let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. But that's going to be that. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.